Good day, everyone. I am Jadwal Yasaran, and I am the second reporter of Group 6, wherein our topic is all about people and water, oceans, and coasts. Now, may I ask you if you are familiar about seawater? Okay, so seawater, these are water which makes up the oceans and seas, covering more than 70% of Earth's surface. On the other hand, seawater is a complex mixture of 96.5% water. And also it has a 2.5% salts and a smaller amounts of other substances, wherein including dissolved and organic materials, particles, and a few atmospheric gases. In addition, I would like to add some regarding seawater. So, seawater is an example of solution, which is a homogeneous mixture because the property of seawater is the same all throughout the homogeneous mixture. Seawater is a mixture of salts and water. Yes, you heard it correctly that seawater is a mixture of salts and water. In this mixture, the salts are called the solute, while the water is called the solvent. With so many dissolved substances mixed in the seawater, what is the density or mass per volume of the seawater relative to fresh water? Any idea? So, water density increases as salinity increases, wherein temperature decreases and pressure increases. Moreover, in year 1960, there are two men in a specially designed submarine called the Tris descended into a submarine trench called the Challenger Deep, wherein it has a 10,910 meters. Yes, you heard it correctly that the deep is 10,910 meters, wherein the average depth of the ocean is 3,700 meters. A lot more shallow than the deep trenches, but still incredible depth for sea creatures to live in. Now I will give a little trivia or a refresher for everyone. So when you hear the word ocean, so what is ocean? So ocean, it is the body of salt water which covers approximately 70.8% of the surface of the earth and contains 97% of Earth's water. An ocean, on the other hand, can also refer to any of the large bodies of water into which the world ocean conventionally divided. Now let's talk about the reasons why the deep oceans are inhabited. So it is stated here that there are three major factors that make the deep oceans hard to inhabit. So what are those three major reasons? So first, the absence of light. Second, low temperature. And lastly, an extremely high pressure. Now let's talk about the vertical divisions. So to better understand regions of the ocean, scientists define the water column by depth. So they divide the entire ocean into two zones vertically, based on light level. Yes, again, so the scientists divided the entire ocean into two parts, two zones vertically that based on light level. So, large lakes are divided into similar regions, wherein organisms that photosynthesize depend on sunlight for food and so are restricted to the Potek zone. Now I will give a trivia again or a refresher to everyone. So what is large lake? So large lake, it is a lake greater than 8 acres in size. Yes, a large lake is a lake greater than 8 acres in size. So, what are the examples of large lakes? So, we have 10 largest lakes in the world. So, first we have the Great Slave Lake, and we have the Malawi Lake. We also have the Great Bear Lake, Baikal Lake, Tanganyika Lake, Michigan Lake, Huron Lake, and Victoria Lake. So, what is the Photic Zone? So, the Photic Zone, Euphyotic Zone, Epipelagic Zone, or Sunlight Zone is the uppermost layer of a body of water which receives sunlight, allowing phytoplankton to perform the photosynthesis. And it undergoes a series of physical, chemical, and biological processes which supplies nutrients into the upper water column. On the other hand, the photic zone of the world's lakes and oceans are critically important. Why is it? Because the phytoplankton, the primary producers upon which the rest of the food web depends, are concentrated in these zones. So, in which part of the photic zone does the photosynthesis occur? Do you have any idea? So, it will be the euphotic zone. So, euphotic zone is the top zone, wherein this is the ocean zone that sunlight penetrates. Because this zone gets sunlight, photosynthesis can occur and plants can grow here. In addition, since tiny photosynthetic organisms, known as phytoplankton, supply nearly all of the energy and nutrients to the rest of the marine food web, most other marine organisms live in or at least visit the photic zone. However, in the aphotic zone, which consists of the midnight zone and the abyss, there is not enough light for photosynthesis. So the aphotic zone makes up the majority of the ocean, but has a relatively small amount of its life, both in diversity of type and in numbers. Now we have here the horizontal divisions. So it is stated here that the seabed is also divided into the zones described above, but the ocean itself is also divided horizontally by distance from the shore. And also the nearest to the shore lies the intertidal or the littoral zone, which the region between the high and low tidal marks. Now I have a little trivia again or a refresher for everyone. So what is seabed? So seabed is the bottom of the ocean, wherein all floors of the ocean are known as seabeds. Yes, you heard it correctly that if we talk about the all floors in the ocean, it is the seabeds. And on the other hand, the structure of the seabed of the global ocean is governed by plate tectonics. Most of the ocean are very deep, where the seabed is known as the abyssal plain. In addition, if we talk about the intertidal zone, or also known as the foreshore. So, it is the area above water level at low tide and underwater at high tide. So if we talk about the intertidal zone, if we go to the above water level, it has a low tide. But if it's underwater, it has a high tide. This area can include several types of habitats with various species of life such as sea stars, sea urchins, and many species of coral with regional differences in biodiversity. By the way, may I ask all of you here if you know what are the reasons or causes why there is a high tides and low tides even though it's just in the same water or ocean. So we have here, they are caused by the gravitational forces exerted on the earth by the moon, by the sun, and also to a lesser extent. So on the other hand, reminder, when the highest point in the wave or the crease reaches a cause, the cause, so the cause experiences a high tide. But on the other hand, when the lowest point or the true reaches a cause, the cause experiences a low tide. Now we have here, it is stated here that this hallmark of the intertidal is change water is in constant motion in waves, tides, and currents. So there is consistency or constant motion when it comes to intertidal in waves, tides, and currents. So, on the other hand, also the land is sometimes underwater and sometimes exposed. So, again, if we talk about the hallmark of the intertidal, there is a change in water and is constant, even in waves, tides, and currents. And also, if we talk about hallmark of the intertidal, it is sometimes happened in land or underwater and sometimes exposed. Now we have here the next part of the discussion. So let's talk about the Neritic zone and the oceanic zone. First, let's talk about the Neritic zone. So it is stated here that the Neritic zone is from low tide mark and slopes gradually downward to the edge of the seaward side of the continental shelf, wherein some sunlight penetrates to the seabed here. And in addition, I just want to add up regarding the Neritic zone. So, Neritic zone is the relatively shallow part of the ocean above the drop off of the continental shelf, approximately having 200 meters. And on the other hand, the Neritic zone is also known for being the most productive ocean zone. Why is it? Because due to the abundant supply of sunlight and the nutrients in this zone, it is considered as the most productive ocean zone because it is supporting the vast majority of marine life. Now let's move forward regarding the oceanic zone. So it is stated here that the oceanic zone is the entire rest of the ocean from the bottom edge of the Neritic zone where sunlight does not reach the bottom. So again, here in the oceanic zone, the sunlight does not reach the bottom. In addition, if we talk about oceanic zone, so the oceanic zone is typically defined as the area of the ocean lying beyond the continental shelf. But operationally, it is often referred to as beginning, wherein the water depths drop to below 200 meters. So the seaward from the coast into the open ocean with its pelagic zones. Now let's move forward to the general or the main concepts here regarding the people and oceans. So it is the ocean is considered as a vast one. Why is it? It is considered as vast because it covers 140 million square miles. So it is really vast, or that's really wide, or considered having 363 million square kilometers, which is equivalent to approximately 72% of the Earth's surface. So wow, the ocean is really vast because of its size. And on the other hand, more than 600 million people, or around 10% of the world's population, yes, you heard it correctly, 10% of the world's population live in coastal areas that are less than 10 meters above sea level. Moreover, it is stated here that nearly 2.4 billion people, or about 40% of the world's population, live within 100 kilometer or 600 or 60 miles of the coast. So, oceans, coastal, and marine resources are especially important for people living in coastal communities because, as per mentioned earlier, there's a lot of people living nearly in the coastal area. So it is really important. I mean, the oceans, coastal, and marine resources are really important, especially to the ones living near the coastal area. So, in the coastal communities, who represent 37% of the global population in 2017. So now, in addition, I just want to add up regarding the importance of oceans, coastal, and submarine resources to us people, especially to the ones living near the ocean or the coastal area. So I just want to add up this one. So it is stated here that over 3 billion people depend on marine and coastal resources for their livelihoods. And I really agree to this one because I observed this one. And the great example for this one are the fishermen when it comes to the livelihood. But when it comes to the food or resources in the submarine, I really agree that not just the coastal people living in the coastal depending on the submarine resources, but also us, even though we are not that near to the coastal area or to the ocean, we are also depending to the food or submarine resources such as the fishes, seafoods, and so on and so forth. However, regardless, even though we are depending on the foods or submarine resources, it is still not 100% that it is all safe and healthy. Because just for example, we all know that there's a food poisoning sometimes happening to the oceans. And also there is a pollution. So that is why it is really important for us to be really wise and aware to for us to test or know whether the food we are buying or the food, for example, the fish that comes from the submarine sources is really safe and healthy for us to avoid any complications, like for example food poisoning that might cause serious problem to us. And also, I just want to add up that if we want a healthy food or safe food coming from the oceans or submarine sources, for we also have to make an action regarding the pollution happening to the oceans or seawater. On the other hand, I want to encourage all of us to have an action or help in preventing or solving the water pollution. So we have here the ways on how we can reduce or prevent water pollution. So first, it is really important that we know how to properly dispose our garbages, not just throwing it anywhere or throwing it to the oceans. And second, we we need to stop pouring or prevent pouring fat and grease down the drain to the ocean. And third, we have here we should also dispose our chemical waste and medical waste properly. And also, it is our task also to clean our oceans just by picking up, for example, simple ways for that one is picking up garbages in the ocean or coastal area. And whenever we swim in the ocean, we can just simply get the garbages that we can see there. So that in that ways we can help in preventing or reducing the water pollution. And lastly, I just want to add up the importance of oceans and submarine resources. So, they are also important since they are the primary regulator of the global change. So, I mean the global climate. So, an important sink for green gases, and they provide us with water and oxygen that we breathe. So that would be all with regards to my topic. So once again, this is Jadwal Yasuran, the second reporter of Group 6 of BSED Science 22A. Thank you so much for watching.